Okay, we're live. Good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining Cliff Lede Live. I'm excited to be coming to you live today with some really wonderful wines, some new releases, and some things that aren't even in a bottle yet. So excited to share those. But first, I want to just cover a couple of updates. You can probably see, I always talk about this, the reflection of the hillside. It's gorgeous here in Napa Valley. We've had some really nice warm weather. Chris Tynan, our director of winemaking, is going to join us tonight, so maybe we can talk a little bit about what's happening and what this weather is doing, but it's beautiful. And my point in raising that is to invite you, of course, to come out to Napa, to come see us. We've got a lot of great things happening. Only in a matter of, I guess, a little under a month away is our Member Appreciation Day. If you haven't been to one of those yet, that'd be great. We're going to do some fun little food pairings with these wines, the new release wines. So we hope to see you at that. That's April 19th, and that's at 1:30 p.m. We also have all kinds of other events happening. The Rock Block Party is coming up in May, and most of our diamond and platinum or gold, I forget what they ended up naming them, but most of our prime seating is sold out, but at this point we do still have some general admission tickets available. So if you're thinking of coming out for a fun afternoon sometime in May, we'd love to see you at that. We've also got the poetry dinner coming up in August. We've got all kinds of other events we're participating in. Maybe you saw that on our Instagram. If you didn't, you need to start following us, because we put out a list of all our events basically through August on our Instagram today. So follow us on Instagram. We love that. We love the support. We have some new content coming your way, and maybe we'll talk about that a bit when we get further along in the wines. Also, just want to show you something cool. If you haven't done this yet, we probably all use our phones all the time these days, but if you go to our website, cliffladyvineyards.com, and you click the little drop-down menu, hit membership, and go to the Club Insider newsletter. This is going to be your new sort of one-stop shop for all the club-related items. You know, hello from your team. We'll have updates on the spring releases, so things that are coming your way. We'll have information on the platinum release there. We'll also have a little Vineyard winery update, you know, more information on events like the Member Appreciation Day, and you'll even find the webinar links there. So really nice little spot for all of that stuff, all the fun stuff, all the content you might want when you get your wines. And of course, we'd love to hear what you think about it, so check it out. Last thing is, this will be our last webinar for a while, so we'll miss you guys, but I hope to see you at one of our events, maybe on the cruise. Looking forward to that. That's coming up this summer. Still spots available. We're at over 30, I think almost 35, 36 people registered, so it's going to be a party. I'd love to see you there. And I'd also love to see what you're enjoying. Use that chat function. Tell us what you've had recently, what you're opening tonight or thinking about opening this weekend. We'd love to hear that. And if you have questions about the wines, of course, throw them in there. All right. So without further ado, let's get Chris Tynan on the program. Let's start talking wine. Let's start tasting wine. White wine to start, which is great on this beautiful sunny day. And we are starting things off with the 2025 Cliff Lede Sauvignon Blanc. But first, Chris, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Good.
It's a beautiful day.
Yeah, we've already been hanging out a little bit. We were doing a little content capture at the Kalon Vineyard today, so we'll talk about Kalon in a little bit. But first wine of the lineup is our 2025 Sauvignon Blanc, and I said not even bottled yet. Look at that. There you go. I guess technically it isn't a bottle, but this was literally pulled off of the tank, so the team is actively working down there, getting the final steps before bottling, which will take place in a couple weeks.
First full week in April, so 2 weeks from now.
So 2 weeks from now, this wine will be going to bottle, and then it will be shortly thereafter making its way to you. So without further ado, Chris, cheers. Thanks for coming on. Love to hear your thoughts on the wine.
Yeah, this vintage is 25, an amazing year. And this particular wine, the final blend turned out to be about 82% Sauvignon Blanc and 12% Semillon. And since we've planted down in Carneros and our vineyards really come online, I think those beautiful tropical flavors are really coming out in the SB. And it's just super aromatic and beautiful. There's a beautiful minerality to it. And it is just a gorgeous wine. I can't wait for you guys to get it in your hands and try it. And 24s, I think our Sauvignon Blanc does great for 3, 4, or 5 years, but the 24 right now is drinking amazingly. But this is close on its heels, so get ready for it. It's going to be great.
Always when these wines, to me, when they're young, right before bottling, right after bottling, they got a lovely zippiness to them. You know, those tropical notes are at the forefront. The mineral is definitely there. I feel like every year you guys do a wonderful job walking in that wet stone quality. This is lifted and lively though. Maybe it's because I've had the 24 more recently, and maybe it's because the 24 has a little bit more Semillon in the blend. But this has some nice brightness to it. Definitely still has that like trademark Cliff Lede, like unctuous kind of round quality. But you know, it's always kind of like whether you're going to open some like the 24 right now or open this. I mean, they're both drinking wonderfully. It's just that 24 has a little bit extra integration, and I find those wines to be a little bit less like pop, you know, on the palate. So if you like that, then drinking these wines upon release is the way to go. But I'm really loving where that 24 is at. So I think this vintage was like primarily from our estate vineyard down in Carneros. Like we're really been moving that dial towards estate grown. Yep. And so do you know maybe what the percentages are more or less? Like how much of
This is about 95% from our vineyards. So we've got a little bit from Calistoga still, and from our estate vineyard there. A little bit from our property here in Stag's Leap, and then the majority is from our Carneros vineyard. So yeah, it's becoming more and more estate as we've planted that vineyard and it's coming online.
I think that's maybe what I'm noticing here too, is that vineyard down in Carneros getting a little bit more vine age is just providing, like, I don't know, I'm getting definitely more of like that like lemon candy Sauv Blanc like quality versus the I don't know if Semillon like tones it down a little bit more or what exactly it is, but it definitely has that like more pungent SB note to it this time around.
The more lemon curd from the Semillon. So this is a little bit more lemon candy, a lot of white flowers and beautiful kind of bright peach flavors. It's gonna be a killer. I love the floral. It's
really nice.
There's lots of citrus blooming right now in California. Sorry if you're in a cold, snowy part of the East Coast right now, but we've got a lot of lemon trees and orange trees blooming right now, and this just kind of screams those pretty citrus flowers.
Yeah,
really, really pretty.
It's I guess I'm feeling like it's more complex than I would imagine at this stage, but you know, once you bottle it, it kind of locks down for maybe a couple of weeks, and then it will emerge again, ready to roll for the summer. Sunshine in a bottle, this stuff.
I think in the past, our Sauvignon Blanc and other different vintages has been more towards grilled fish and seafood that has been grilled, or and oysters kind of that are baked or barbecued. I think this wine can handle some raw oysters. What do you think?
Oh yeah,
just that minerality, chalkiness, and
I was just down in Mexico and we did the ceviche cooking class preparation thing, and nice. we had the 2024, and it was delicious for sure. But I could see this wine again with that extra level of acidity. I was telling everybody about, you know, depending on how much lime you use, that's really going to change the flavors of the wine, because it's going to make the fruit, like it's going to tone down the citrus in the wine and bring out more of the other fruit qualities if you have more acidity on the food side of things. And I did a little jalapeno in there just because, you know, that's the SB accompaniment, the viral sensation. Not recommended with the Cliff Lede wine, but, you know, maybe if you're drinking something cheap. But look, this wine's delicious. We can't wait to get it out to you. I mean, look, straight from the tank. I'm excited about that. Not often I get to come up here and taste these wines exactly, you know, right before they're bottled, but really delicious stuff. And we can't wait to share it with you all. So, well, maybe we should switch over to reds.
Let's do it.
We've got a nice array of Cabernets tonight, all Cabernets, and we're going to hop back to 2013. It looks like Carol's enjoying the exact bottle we have. We have a Magnum, which I know seems a little excessive for two guys, but this is like literally all we have left is Magnums. We basically used the last of our 750 ml bottles to satisfy our club run. So you'll be getting some of those depending on, again, the club that you're in. But we do have some Magnums still available if you want to add those to your club. And of course, we all know that Magnum is really the most ideal way to age a wine. And we'll be sharing this with the team. We'll be doing a team training tomorrow, so it's not going to go to waste. Don't worry about that. But this is the 2013 Stardust Heaven Rock Block Series Cabernet Sauvignon. 2013 has to be, I guess, one of our most exciting vintages, I guess, especially since when you came on, because you were 2012 and then 13, and 13 was like the first 100-point year for poetry. I think many of these other 13s scored really high as well. So can you take us back? What was that vintage like? What do you remember from 2013?
Well, it was definitely an amazing vintage, and happy that it was my second vintage here at Cliff Lede, because you're trying to keep your job when Cliff doesn't really know you that well and you haven't been proven yet. But it was just a really, really amazing vintage with lots of laurels from all the critics, and it's powerful vintage, very, very powerful vintage. And we've been really anxiously waiting for these wines to kind of open up and finally become really accessible and drinkable, and to see if they're going to live up to their high claim. And Travis Bullard, our winemaker, and I sat down to do some tasting notes for the 13s that are coming out coming to you guys, and we were like, oh my God, it's living up to the hype for sure. I mean, it is just a beautiful vintage. And this wine in particular, we had out of 750 the other day, and it is just really, really beautiful. And it's everything is integrated and soft. The tannins have kind of mellowed. It was really boisterous and powerful when it was young, and now it's kind of softened and everything's in its right place. And we feel like it's hitting that peak drinking window for like between now and the next 10 years. It's just going to be amazing. I think it could go longer than that if you've got a nice cold cellar, but it just screams Stag's Leap District.
That peak, it's like, I'm a huge fan of drink your wine, enjoy your wine, right? I don't ever think like, well, there's like got to be this perfect occasion, perfect time, perfect everything. I mean, it's always going to be good. So you're always going to enjoy it, right? Especially if you got a few extra bottles, then you can always go back and try it again a couple years later. But something about like 10 years past the current vintage release, so we're releasing 23s right now, so now you go to 2013. There's something about this period that I absolutely love. There's no longer that like youthful expression of fruit. It's kind of, again, become integrated and shed some of those like awkward qualities that might happen in like the 5 to 7 to 8 year range. And I can just tell, like, to me, this is like just starting to emerge as a wine that is going to, showing those more aged qualities, but in the best possible way. And there's no reason why this wouldn't kind of hang out in that, in that echelon, in that territory for another 10 or 15 years before, starting a slow decline. But wow, this was just, we opened this cork 15 minutes ago.
Yeah. There's the great Warden Winiarski from Stag's Leap Wine Cellars once said that Stag's Leap wines are amazing because they're kind of like the iron fist and the velvet glove. And to me, this wine really kind of feels that way. It's got these beautiful structured tannins, but they're just soft and velvety on the finish.
Yeah.
And they're just really gorgeous. You get this roasted red pepper flakes and just tons of cassis and blackberry. And it's just all, the nose promises a lot, and the finish guarantees that, and says, hey, this is going to be a great wine.
I don't know where I heard that, but I heard that one time that it's almost like a good cup of coffee, right? You open that bag of coffee beans and it just smells amazing, but then you make coffee out of it, it doesn't taste any good. It's like when the coffee tastes like it smells and things are like both locked. Like that's what I'm getting here. I'm getting like from the nose to the attack to the mid palate to the finish. It's just like, whoa. Like, wow, this is in a really nice spot for something with its, with its age and plenty of time left. And I'm sure as, even as we sit here, this will just keep, blossoming even further.
Yeah. As Travis and I drank it the other day, we tasted the other day, it was hard not to drink, but we thought it got better even with an hour after being open. So if you're going to drink a 750 in the next couple of months, throw it in the decanter for an hour or 2 or 3. And that'll really help it kind of shine and show its best when you're sit down, drink it.
Good point on those tannins, though. They've really like settled in this. This is not like you don't feel them initially, but they kind of creep up on the back end, but they're super soft and just like that slight little dusty, chalky quality, but they're very tame.
I think that's the Magnum format too. I think the Magnum format's probably like 5 years behind the 750.
Sure.
So give if you're going to do a Magnum, give it maybe 3 to 5 hours in the decanter before you drink it. It's really great.
So Stardust Heaven, that was the Ziggy Stardust block, which was over on Poetry, and Stairway to Heaven, which is also on Poetry. So 2 of the primary blocks in this wine were from that vineyard. Predominantly Cabernet here. There was a little Merlot and Petit Verdot in the blend, and that tends to be the direction with this wine. We're always looking for something that the tagline we have is these go to 11. So it's kind of just everything's kind of dialed up a little bit. But even in that sense, you haven't like lost the essence of like what you were saying, this being a Stag's District wine. It's a fun wine. It's a fun package and it's a fun story to tell. But what's in that bottle is like serious and seriously good. So we hope you guys enjoy that. I'm enjoying it right now. It's pretty spectacular, and we'll enjoy sharing it with the team tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, I'm sure it's gonna just, be even more expressive, and it'll wow that crew for sure. Moving right along, lots of haze in the chat. I love that. Nice to see you all. Thanks for sharing your thoughts of what you're tasting and your waves. Love that. If you have questions, like I say, throw them in there, and we'll get to them as we can. Moving along to more rock block. This one's going to be special for me. 2023, Intergalactic Rain. Why is it special to me? Well, the Intergalactic block is the only block I've been able to name, the only block I've even attempted to name. I have not asked if I could name another block, but about, I don't know, maybe it was probably almost 8 or 9 years ago now. We had a new block that was being replanted, or it was just starting to come online. And I said, Dad, we got this new block. What's the name? And he said, I got lots of ideas. And I said, we need some Beastie Boys out there. Let me present my case. And so I did. MBA student, I knew how to put all my thoughts down and present the case. And let's see, they're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They're multi-generational. They can all play legit instruments, and they're all certified rock stars. So the Beastie Boys Intergalactic block was born, so to speak. And so I felt with the 2023, we had to figure out how to highlight that block, because here we are 25 years. It's the 25th anniversary of that song coming out. So a lot of love for this wine for that reason, but also a little Purple Rain block. That's on Poetry. Intergalactic is down here on the Rhythm Vineyard. And so primarily those 2 blocks. But I think similar blend-wise to the 2013, Merlot and Petit Verdot to round it out, but primarily Cabernet. But we're in a totally different vintage now. So why don't we talk a little bit about 2023?
Right. Whereas the 2013s were more about power initially in their youthful stage. I think 23 was a little bit more mild vintage, where the wines are showing a little bit more perfume and elegance. And there's still a lot of dark black here, a lot of dark cherry and blackberry cassis. A lot of beautiful California hedonistic qualities to it, but there's a nice balance to this wine that I think is just gorgeous too. And you could enjoy it on a rainstorm on Venus if you're, since it's that's in the same galaxy.
Right.
We got to go to a different galaxy to enjoy this. There you go.
Somewhere different. Go to Orion's Belt.
But it is a gorgeous wine, and it is just going to be amazing, I think.
It is. It's probably, the more dark fruited. I think when we sit down and we blend this wine, we look for those qualities throughout all the lots that we have, and we look for things that are a little bit more like they might stick out in a Poetry or a Rhythm, but here they're kind of the center stage, or the feature of this wine is having a little bit more of that amplified fruit qualities. Really nice. I mean, you nailed it. The perfume is there, not unlike the other 2023s we've had with doing High Fidelity recently. I mean, all these wines seem to have just really lovely aromatics, especially in their youth right now. But they're very drinkable. I mean, there's a lot of soft texture, and I mean the tannins are there, but they're not overwhelming. This is great. This is great. We're really excited to finally have more of this because the 22 was a shorter vintage, and so it's one of our member favorites, and so we've been pulling a little 22 out of the library to keep it going. But 23 is coming, so we're excited about that.
That's gonna be amazing.
I'm just gonna check this chat real quick because we got a lot of questions firing through, a lot of highs and whatnot. Oh, what was the name of the block previously? So the Intergalactic block, I think it's bordered by Dancing in the Dark or Rocket Man, but it was part of one of those blocks. Like it was a larger block that then had a smaller section of it replanted. So we didn't, at least from what I recall, we did not lose a block name when we threw Intergalactic in there. It was a new block. And speaking of which, we actually have some new blocks coming online at Poetry and then also over here on the Rhythm Vineyard in the coming years. So we'll have some opportunities for some new song names out there too. So if you have suggestions, like I say, maybe you got to put your business case together and send us your presentation and we'll see what we can do. But always exciting to have new blocks, and we really try to designate them by clone or by the year they were planted and things like that. But Intergalactic is one of my favorites.
It's one of my favorites too,
because
it happens to be a Clone 6, which is a clone that most farmers would hate because it produces very little crop, very, very small berries, but winemakers love it because of that fact. It's a very concentrated, powerful clone that has these beautiful violets, these chalky tannins, and this power and concentration, and it's really working well in this wine. I mean, we've planted Clone 6 everywhere we can. When we've replanted the blocks, we've spread it around Poetry and our new blocks here at Rhythm. So it's a good block. It's a special block. So the fact that he's got to name it was kudos to him.
Just got lucky.
There might be a lot of Intergalactic rock blocks in the next 20 years because it's such a good block.
Gets used for rhythm and I mean even maybe a little bit in Poetry sometimes, right? For sure, if it's crushing it. But that's delicious. I love that wine. It's a fun story to share. I mean, I hope you guys enjoy it when you see it arrive. Gosh, what else can I say? Rock Block, these go to 11. Always a fun story, always a fun wine to talk about. Intergalactic Rain. Awesome name too. And I have to say, I pushed for Intergalactic, but it's always Cliff who comes up with like the full combo of the names, and he suggested Intergalactic Rain. And I Googled it, and I think there's actually like some sci-fi people out there that are like, I don't know, it's like a thing. But very cool. Even cooler. This vineyard, really awesome. The Kalon Vineyard. Chris and I were out there earlier today filming a little content with the marketing team. So it was fun to actually go to that site, because if you've been here to Cliff Lede Vineyards and you've sat either down in the tasting room or up where we are in the white room, if you've been to the winery, you get to look over our estate, and it's quite it's just an interesting property because there's these two hills that border the south end of Rhythm. So there's this kind of rolling, hill quality. Then you've got Poetry, which is dramatic, steep, rocky hillside, like just really impressive to look at. But when you go to Kalon, it's just kind of a flat vineyard out in the middle of the expanse of Oakville. So it's not really something that I think a lot of people would even notice when they drive by, unless you see the big Kalon sign. But it's a special place. I mean, this was one of the first vineyards in Napa, I guess, that was prominent for wine growing. First vines were planted in 1868. And the fruit that we get from the 3 different blocks, and of course I'll let Chris speak more to that, but they come from the original Kalon vineyard. So that vineyard has kind of grown and expanded and has several different owners in it. But we buy from one section that is owned by Andy Beckstoffer. That's why you'll see Beckstoffer Kalon on the label, because Andy owns the vineyard. But that vineyard that he owns, that section, is the original Kalon vineyard. So cool history to this vineyard. I mean, you should know at this point, if it's a Cliff Lede wine and it's not from Poetry or Rhythm or our estate, it's going to have to be from a pretty badass place. Right. So Kalon is about as cool as it gets for historic Napa Cabernet vineyard. And here we are with the 2023. Again, just super like, just like what pops out of the glass, almost throws you back in your chair.
Is this like a Mouton kind of year? I hate to compare it. We hate to compare our wines to other wineries, but it's got a kind of a Mouton nose.
It does have like that. I mean, that would be Margaux.
Yeah, elegant, beautiful. This vineyard is just known for its kind of minerality, which comes with like a lot of loam character, rocky, gravelly loam. But then the beautiful dark violet aromas on the nose, and then of course cassis and blackberry, and just classic Cabernet Sauvignon. We get 3 different clones that we kind of blend and make this final wine, and it's 100% Cabernet Sauvignon. It's just so complex and so aromatic, and we just, from a great vineyard, from a great vintage, from a great winery. So great combo.
It is a great combo. That's delicious. I'm like tripping up because I was like, Mouton, that's Pauillac.
Pauillac,
I said Margaux. I was like, oh my God, my dad better not see this. I'd be in trouble. But I agree. I mean, I think it has a lot of those like kind of like earthy tones, like those crushed rock qualities and things that you might associate more with Old World. It would be interesting to like throw this in the lineup with some of those wines just to see how it performs. But I think the thing that always distinguishes Napa from Bordeaux is just sunshine. You know, we get sun. We can pick things like when they're perfectly ripe where we want to. And so I think this wine just has a little bit more of that Napa Valley fruit, a little bit more of that pop. But you can tell like this is a wine that is just going to be forever like beautifully complex. It's going to just like throughout its stages, it's going to always offer those like really interesting qualities. It's even just changing as I'm swirling it here. This is really lovely. And you got to think like this is I guess this would be like the 11th year that we made it, because we started in 2012.
We made a little bit in 2011, but that didn't really get labeled as Tokalon. But it was an Oakville wine that we made, but because we didn't want to come out with a lesser wine for you guys. We wanted to come out with a bang. So 2012 was the first vintage that was bottled and labeled Tokalon for us. Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, getting an understanding of this vineyard, I mean, how has the style shifted for you? Because I think, you know, when you come into that vineyard and you taste other wines from that vineyard, I think there's kind of like a style of Tokalon. And I guess maybe even some folks might have an expectation for what Tokalon is. But I think we're quite differentiated if you compare us to others. I mean, when we've done comparative tastings, it's distinctive, right? So I'm just curious, like stylistically, what was your like where did you go to kind of lock in what this wine has become?
Well, we took the attitude that you've got this amazing vineyard that's been planted since the mid 1800s, and you've got great farming and a wonderful history. But we kind of looked back and we thought, you know, there's no legendary wines from that vineyard. So we never, you know, there's not like a 69 Chapelet or 74 Heights, one of these legendary wines that people kind of associate with great vineyards and great sites. And we thought, well, what are people doing? Why are people making wines that aren't really capturing that terroir that we were tasting in our wines? And it seems like people were picking the style in that vineyard that other wineries were doing. We're picking very ripe. And when you pick very ripe, you kind of lose the vineyard character, because one of my favorite sayings is that raisins from Oakville taste just like raisins from Lodi or from the Central Valley. They just taste like raisins. And I think people were losing the sense of the vineyard by picking too ripe. And so we went in there, we put shade cloth up on the afternoon side to really protect that fruit from the afternoon sun. And we just went in there and tasted the grapes and tasted. And we thought they were tasting really great. A lot sooner than some of the other folks that were in there. And I think the trend has come, we've seen that over the last decade and a half, where people are picking more close to where we started picking. And I think that's for the benefit of the wines, because I think they have more balance and they're more structure, they're more aging. And we want to create that wine that people are buying 10, 15, 20 years from now saying, oh my gosh, the Cliff Lede 2012 Tokalon, you got to have that.
Right.
And it's a legendary wine from a legendary vineyard. So
yeah, I love that mentality. I mean, that's I guess the best way to differentiate yourself when you're in a vineyard that has, I mean, it's not that many wineries that get fruit to it. Like it's still a pretty tight-knit group of people, and Andy, I think, you know, he keeps it that way because he wants, you know, people that are executing at the highest level. But certainly style does come into play here. And if you enjoy the Cliff Lede style, if you enjoy wines that are elegant and pretty and aromatic and still, you know, powerful, but it's not all about power and ripeness and richness and you know, gobs of fruit, this is something that's going to treat you well for a very long time. And I think that that vineyard deserves the sort of accolades it gets, and it's really a special place for us to have access to, and for such a long period of time now, you know, as well. But this is a wonderful wine. I mean, I think this is you know, showcasing all of those things coming together, like just the knowledge of the vineyard, your team, what you guys are doing, and you know, utilizing this great facility to make some great wines. So delicious, love it. That's coming in May. So if you are interested in picking up some To Kalon, please reach out to us. The Intergalactic Rain will be on its way in April, and then we've got, of course, the 2013 Stardust Heaven add to. If you want to add that to your club, that is available to you. Not something we will do a widespread release on to the public because, like I say, there's just not a lot of it. But it's always fun to taste those old wines. And we've been doing some fun releases of some older rock block wines. And to one of the questions, to the point of one of the questions that we had in there, you know, you might notice that this label has had some evolution over the years with what it says, you know, with Stag's Leap District on the bottom and Cliff Lede on the bottom. And all that comes down to what you're legally allowed to do. So there's some few reasons why we've switched to just having the fanciful name in Cliff Lede. It's our brand. We always want to have it there. And it does say Rock Block Series at the bottom, as we've included maybe over the last, I don't know, 6 or 7 vintages now. But wanted to make sure we covered that question. We got a question about the hats. We got the hats here at the winery. Love this hat. Even working on a new edition that's maybe more summer friendly because it's great to keep the warmth. But we do have them here, and shoot us an email and we'll find out how to get you one. Okay. Or if you're visiting anytime soon, we do have them available. What we'd love to get one out to you. Just send the wine club team an email, and I'm sure that they can make that happen. What else is happening? It's 2026. It's warm. What's going on in the vineyard? We've got bud break accelerating with this warmth.
Yeah.
So far, so good, right?
Exactly. We've got a lot of growth from a warm couple weeks. So bud breaks early. That's generally winemakers like that because that means we're going to be able to harvest earlier in the fall, which is always great. Yeah, we're just busy in the vineyard, pruning, finishing up little pruning projects, suckering now, mowing, and all that fun stuff. So it's great.
A lot of work in the vineyard as the cover crop now has to be tamed, and you know, everything's exploding out here. The vines, the bugs, the allergies, all the fun stuff. But not a reason to not come see us. Come and see us. It is a beautiful time of year. It's always a beautiful time of year here in the valley. But it's truly this time when things start to change, when spring is springing, it's lovely. So without any more questions, I think we're going to let you all go. So we really appreciate you joining us. We thank you for your support. Of course, for being members and staying members, and if you need things from us, please feel free to reach out anytime. Check our Instagram post. If you've got Instagram, come follow us, but check out our Instagram post because all of our events are there. Or you can go to the website, hit our calendar button, and it'll show you where we're going to be this year. We got lots of events coming up, lots of fun stuff, even events here at the winery coming up. So we'd love to see you one way or another. Chris, thank you for joining us and sharing your knowledge on all these wonderful wines, and kudos to you and the team for continuing to just make incredible stuff. And we love sharing it with everyone. And well, I guess that's it. Another episode down, and we won't see you guys again till August on the program here. So cheers to you. Cheers to Chris.
Cheers.
And take it easy, everybody. We'll see you soon. Okay.